Tools. I'm running parts. So I decided to go live. You know what? Let me bring the camera up a little higher. Probably should have did this before I started. I'm not going to leave it that high. I'm just extending the tripod legs. All right. Now I can kind of be down and I can get more in the field of view. So, yeah, that's decent. So, just to kick this off, I put a video up this morning. Hey, man, Kester. Dude, I haven't talked to you in a while. I guess it's been a while since I've done live videos. Kester used to pop on all the time when I did live videos. So, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So I posted a video this morning about the tapping arm and some of its advantages. And the big advantage on this part specifically is this is a really beautiful bored hole. I have to tap this. And if I go too deep, it's going to really make the inside of this bored hole really ugly. And so that's why the depth matters so much. Also, all these blind holes, you know, I want to make sure I get to the bottom, so the depth matters. Anyways, I made a video about that. I posted it, and I posted a whole bunch of machining groups on Facebook. Man, some people get really, are really against tapping arms. And everybody was just like, not everybody. It's only the negative people that are the most vocal. And I don't want to be too hard on them because, I mean, like, they don't have a tapping arm, so they wouldn't know. But there was, like, a ton of people were like, oh, you know, Tap-O-Matic's better, it's cheaper. That's apples and oranges. It's not even the same thing. So Tap-O-Matic, it's not servo-driven. It doesn't have an HMI with digital settings. It doesn't have digital torque settings. You have to put it on a drill press, and then you have to dial in your depth with the stop mechanically, which takes a lot of time. You know how long it takes me to dial in the depth on my tapping arm? I just type in 0.5, enter. That's it. It's like, and then on a drill press with a Tap-O-Matic, you know, it just comes straight down, right? So you got to put it in a vise, and then you got to move your vise into position, which your vise is not clamped. It's just hoping that the mass is enough to let this thing not spin. You got to move it into position and then come down. If you're not going to move it into position, you have to get stops, set it up. You got to get everything set up. You know what I don't have to do on my tapping arm? None of that. I just literally put this in, clamp. I bring the arm to the part, done. Seconds. And then a bunch of the MR1 guys got all bent out of shape. Why don't you just thread mill? Why don't you just thread mill? It's so much better and faster. It's not faster, okay? I thread milled for almost a year before I got that arm. And the arm, it's seconds, guys. It's like maybe, depending on the depth, but it's like 3 to 6 seconds for the entire cycle. I didn't have to write a program. I didn't have to set any offsets. I didn't have to post the program, bring it over here, upload the program. I didn't have to change tools. So it's like, it's not even close. And even if you say you take out all those things I just mentioned, just the actual cycle, for this machine to come down at 40 inches a minute and then come up, that's still slower than a single tap cycle, but now it has to do it 3, maybe 4 times. So that makes it 4 times longer, not to mention each individual cycle is like 50% longer. So a thread milling cycle is at least 5 times longer than a rigid tap. So I don't know. I got a lot of negative blowback from that. Like, people are really resistant. And I think some of it is people that are literally just jealous that I have one and they don't, and so they want to bash it. I'm just trying to help. I posted that video because I was excited that Pomegranate is going to give everybody 15% off across the board by using coupon code Beck. So it's like, And I'm not, like, I don't have a contract with Palmgren. If they choose to look at those purchases and do something about it, that's their prerogative. They don't have to. They don't have to give me anything at all. Like, if they choose to, because they're like, hey, we think this might be worth it, then they can, but they don't have to, right? So it's not like I have a user account where I go onto Palmgren and say, oh, how many people clicked? How much affiliate earnings do I have? That's not what it is. They just gave me a coupon that's for you guys, 15% off. So it's like, people get all butthurt about that too. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. I just wanted to kind of clear that up because I usually don't get that much negative feedback from a video, but that ruffled some feathers. So I'm going to keep posting a lot more of it because I don't care. It just kind of got me a little fired up. So I'm not going to talk less about it because that's not how I am. I'm just going to talk more about it, and those people can go pound sand. So I need to get to work. How's everybody doing? Let me make sure I got the comments turned on so I can see them. I always have to switch it to all. Wait, live chat, all, because otherwise it only shows me top. So, Kester, what's up, brother? Trying to get building build. Nice. You building a building? Is that what I saw there? Or are you trying to get your shredder built? I think you bought a shredder. Anyways, I'm gonna get this thing started. It won't be as easy to hear me, but I can't ramble all night. Oh, actually, let me show you the setup. I actually filmed this, and I'm gonna upload that video soon, but for you guys, you can get a sneak peek. I've been making soft jaws. So I've started putting the big vise in here, and I might make some spacers so I can use the big vise all the time. The advantage of the big vise is I got 6 inches here, and so I can do like dual parts. And I can even have like one like this and then one like that if I had 2 ops. The problem is this op uses a different thread mill, uses a different end mill than this one. So for this one specifically, just doing a single. But I take these. They need to have this stuff taken off. Key thing, anybody that's new to CNC machining or milling in general, always blow out the vise. If you have a single chip in there, that chip can be 10, 15 thousandths. I mean, look how this chip right there, if that were on the bottom in there, I would not have a flat part. It would tip this thing up and it wouldn't sit flat. So, and then, yeah. And I have 3 thousandths of slop, right? So there's a little bit of movement, so I always push that way. It doesn't matter on this much because I'm just taking this, but if this were a part that had, locations that matter, it'd be important that I, always push it up against the same direction. And then when I set up, I measure the parts and you got to be consistent when you load. Also, CNC machining is all about the load time. So this is the worst example ever because I'm just like talking and taking forever to load parts. When you think about it, for these torch mounts that I've been making the last week and a half, I'm doing a batch of 50 sets. So each set has 5 parts, and each part has about 5 operations. So you do the math, that's well over 2,000 times I have to load parts. So every second matters. If I take an extra 10 seconds, what's 10 times 2,000? That's how many minutes I lose. If I take an extra 20 seconds, what's 20 seconds times 2,000? That's how many minutes I lose. And these are minutes of my life that I'll never get back. So that's why it's so important. Now here, I'm just taking, how do I bring up the chat? I saw one and it went away. Do I just lift up, over? There it is. Adventure Technologies. As an engineer, the tapping arm is better for what you're doing. Thread milling has its place, agreed. But you're 100% going to go through thread mills faster for production than a tapping arm. Go through thread mills faster for production. So I would say the big advantage to thread mills is hard material. So there's no way I'm going to tap anything over 40 Rockwell. Can you? I don't care. I'm not going to. Because first of all, that steel is probably expensive. Okay, if it's 60 Rockwell, it's not your mild steel. You paid a lot more for it. You've already got a lot of work into it, and you can't risk breaking the tap. And also most of the time those steels have to be heat treated, and then once you heat treat it, things can move, and you can't thread things before you heat treat them because the threads will warp and then they won't fit. So if it's a steel that has to be heat treated, you pretty much need to thread mill it after it's hard. So thread mills, hands down, take the win every day in that category. When I get a legit professional grade CNC and I can rigid tap, will I use that arm? Very rarely, because the robo drill that I want to get is its tool change is like 0.9 or 0.7 seconds, and then chip to chip is like 1.2 or 1.5. So it's like and its tool has changed. So when I have a machine like that, I'm probably just going to rigid tap right in the machine, because first of all, my tapping arm only does 375 RPMs. I won't be limited to that in a really high-end CNC with rigid tapping. So the big reason the tapping arm is so valuable to me and guys in small shops is because we don't have rigid tapping. Rigid tapping will probably kick that thing's butt, but not always. I know guys that have rigid tapping and they still use their arm from time to time. So yeah, that's kind of like, it's such a nuanced thing. It's not like a tapping arms are always better, tap-o-matic's always better, thread milling's always better. Anytime somebody comes up with that point of view, I'm like, first of all, you're wrong. I don't even have to hear the rest of your argument. When you lead with that, nothing is always in life. Let me hit this go button. There, you guys want to watch it? No point in standing back there. Let's let you see the... should I do this with the door open and make a big mess for YouTube? All right, guys. I'm gonna make a big old mess in my shop. Just for you guys. There we go. Only this one run. And then I'm closing the doors after this. So, this is a 10 millimeter bright end mill. So it's carbide, but it's polished. It's 3 flutes. It's running 8,000 RPMs. I have an 80,000 step over. I have a 3/8 step down. And then I'm gonna come back and do like a 30,000 finishing pass. And I'll explain the rest when it stops machining, just in case you can't hear what I'm saying. So when you're taking material off like this, you have to consider what's going to happen to that last little chunk. If you do it wrong, that last little chunk is going to come flying out of the mill, or sometimes it rips the part out of the chuck. So this is my finishing pass, and the reason I go around the perimeter is because going around the perimeter pushes all the metal inside, so now I don't have a burr. So there's no burr on that part because I'm not smearing the metal out. I'm climb cutting around the perimeter. That pushes all the material in. All right, since you saw one and the mess is getting huge. All right, I got coolant all over my phone. Okay, I gotta clean this up a little bit. Cool, I was worried that the rag with coolant on it might end the live stream. So no, were you guys able to hear that explanation as why I do my finishing pass as a perimeter? So when I do a finishing, I go around the perimeter and I climb cut, and that's pushing all the material in instead of pulling it out. When you just go randomly like this, every time you pull the material away from the part, you create a burr around the perimeter. So that's why I always finish with a climb cut and that I don't have any burrs. It's still sharp corners, so then I throw it in a tumbler and that gets rid of the sharp corners. I would like to, I wish I had a wide angle view on here. I would like to try to be more consistent and set up a schedule for live videos. Some of you guys have requested that. The problem is my schedule is so crazy hectic that I just never know. Like, I just randomly decided, right, hey, I'm out here, I'm gonna just turn it on. So that's typically how these things happen. Some of you guys said if I scheduled it and said it's gonna be at this time and I was consistent, then you could hop on and it would definitely be more fun. And I would like to try to do that. Maybe I can figure out a way to make that happen. My wife is changing up her schedule. She's gonna switch from second to first shift, so she'll be home every night. So maybe I could, do something like a Tuesday night or a whatever. I'm not sure. So that's possible in the future. Also, I gotta go in at some point here and put the kids to bed. But so I'll probably be on here about a half an hour. Let's see, anything else new in the shop? Oh. I found the limits of the ER20 collet. So I had this part and I set this up to do an 1/8 of an inch step over. This is the height that it started at. This is the height that it finished at. Now granted, guys, this is supposed to be a flat part. I was doing 100 inches a minute and 1/8 of an inch step over. And it climbed cut fine, but then when it switched to conventionally cut, it started to pull out of the tool holder. By the time it got to here, I was cutting that deep by the time I got to the other side. So that was a junk part. That was the first one I scrapped. And then remember how I was telling you, if the little chunk that's left behind is unstable, it will flex and catch. Well, that's what happened here. I was facing it and I was like, well, maybe if I do this angle, that little piece will fall off more easily. That's not what happened. It got right here and it grabbed onto this corner and it yanked it out and just ripped it right out. You can kind of see right here, the part got destroyed. So that was a scrap part. Oh, this was a setup piece. I crashed my probe because I've been getting off work at 5, coming home, eating, coming out here, working until like 12 to 1:30 every night for almost 2 weeks straight. And it was super late and I crashed my probe. I spent hours trying to get it all realigned, but my probe's junk. And this is how I know it's junk. Because after I dialed all the run out and had it to where I could rotate and it had 0 run out, I went ahead and probed and then I ran apart and it's like 20 thou too deep. So now I need a new probe. So this is just some of what happens when you push your machine and yourself to the limit. You gotta have a clear mind. And when it's at the end of a 16-hour day and you're running parts, mistakes happen. So, hey. Oh, one other thing. Another elephant in the room. So, some of you guys that have been around part of the channel for a lot of years, you'll notice that in the last couple months, I've had a lot of shorts that are repackaged old content. So, I apologize but I don't 100% apologize. Here's how it goes. So YouTube basically says I need to post once a day or more. I can't do that. Like, I mean, I work a full-time day job and then I do this, you know, for 5 hours a night. Like, when am I gonna do that? So I bought Opus Clip, which is an AI software that I can basically take an old video of mine and I just say, cut this video, and it gives me 20 options of shorts, and it has all the captions and everything. So I go through those, I find like the best 5, and then I schedule them to post at 11:58 every day. So right before people go on lunch break, those videos automatically, they're AI generated, they're AI captioned. I mean, AI writes the descriptions and the hashtags. Sometimes it's so outlandish, I will be like, no. And I'll like rewrite some of that stuff, but it's basically AI generated. And with one click, it posts to every social media that I have, and I can schedule them. So I will take, 15 minutes, and I will schedule like 5 or 6 days of videos, and they're all shorts, and they all post at 11:58. So if you're about to go on your lunch and it says, Richard posted a short, I apologize. Like, you've already probably seen that content. It's a snippet of a larger video that's on the YouTube channel. The purpose of those is to generate new viewers and to keep YouTube happy. Because if you don't keep YouTube happy, they'll bury you. And people are like, well, why does it matter? Well, social media is how I get my sales for Beck Tools. And it's also how I get discounts for you guys. So it's mutually beneficial, right? Like, some people get really upset and we're like, oh, you think you're some big famous YouTube influencer. I don't. I'm not, clearly not, but I'm still able to get you guys discounts. And so that's where the win-win comes in. Like, yeah, that's the goal. Like, I think you get like a 5 or 10% discount from Evolution. Nobody ever uses that coupon code though, whatever. Like for chop saws, and you get 15% on pomegranate stuff. So it's like, the advantage, it's not just one-sided, And also, I learn a stupid amount from you guys. These comments that you leave educate me. And that's why most of the reason I've been able to be as successful as I am is because I'm willing to take all the information, whether it's criticism, whether it's just trolls, I still consider it. Like, if you're the biggest dick in the world and you just come on my channel and you start telling me how I'm ugly or fat or I can't talk or I say pomegranate instead of pomegranate, like, that's good information. Even if you're trying to hurt my feelings, it's good information. And I try to teach my kids, never discount information because of its source. Check it out first, fully vet it, then pitch it, right? And if you're a proud person who can't take criticism and can't take advice, you're never going to excel past your own understanding. And so that's why I value your guys' comments so much, because no matter who you are, everybody has some good input, and it's really helped me excel. So, I don't know. That's another thing about these lives. I can just kind of vent. If you guys have an opinion, put it in the comments. I can see, make sure I could scroll up. Oh, there's an arrow. What does that mean? Okay. I want to make sure I wasn't like, had the chat stuck. Okay, it's live. I'm gonna run a couple more. What kind of content do you guys want to see? Like, is there anything, you want more MR1 content? I mean, this is what I do all the time. That's why I have so much of this content. It's not because Langmeyer is giving me anything. It's because it's easy to get MR1 content because I'm using this thing every night. So that's why it's so heavy. I don't even think I got any discount on the MR1. They told me to go pound sand because I wasn't famous enough for that. going to show you guys the monitor. So, you can see the path here. That's the finishing pass. It gives you your code as it's running. I wish I could like drag and make this window bigger and this window smaller, but I can't. It is what it is. I can zoom in and out, and I can rotate. But over here you have your feed override, so if I want to make my spindle go faster or slower, feed rates. I can slow the rapids down. This is all your tool setting, your probes. Automatic spacing is over here. These are your stats over here, like your RPMs and stuff. Now it's going to come over. I don't know who all's on, but if Adventure Technologies is still on, what do you exactly do? That's a really cool name. And if we've already met and I just didn't recognize your YouTube handle, I apologize. I just love the title, Adventure Technologies. I want to just makes me want to go like find your content. Mine's kind of generic. Beck Tools. I admit Beck's Armory was more exciting, but it's terrible for algorithms. Beck's Armory, man, it was like, that was killing me. I struggled to even get open bank accounts. When I was Beck's Armory, tried getting business bank accounts, and Chase Bank grilled me over and over. Do you sell guns? Do you sell guns? So, yeah. I learned the hard way that Armory is really bad for the internet. I still have all these old shirts though, so it is what it is. All my Beck's Armory stuff is my shop shirts. It also helps because sometimes guys search. My number 2 search on Google is Beck's Armory. So it kind of, I'm going to wear these shirts until people forget about Beck's Armory. That way they understand it. Beck Tools, Beck's Armory, it's the same thing. I guess I could do my top 5 favorite things of the MR1 and my top dislikes for the MR1. I would say my top like for the MR1 is machining bed size. You have a lot of room for a machine this price. Number 2 thing I love the most is the price. You're not going to touch anything close to this performance at this price level. Well, that list is kind of short. Number 3, it makes money. I mean, you can actually, This thing will pay for itself over and over and over. It does make beautiful parts. It can machine steel and aluminum. Number one thing I hate about the MR1 is the spindle. The fact that it doesn't have an ATC just makes me want to bang my head through the wall, but I get it. An ATC would have made this $7,000 machine cost 12, okay? Would I have been able to buy it at 12? Probably not. So, I mean, it's like, yes, I'm super frustrated that it doesn't have an automatic tool changer, or even like an ATC where I have a button that I could push. That would be a huge game changer. Second thing I hate about the MR1 is the Z travel speed. 40 inches a minute is insane. Oh, I know why they do it, because we're all noobs when we get this machine, and slamming the head through the table would be extremely bad for this machine. So at 40 inches a minute, you're probably not going to break anything other than the tool. So, but if they had like an advanced mode where you could be like, yes, I accept the consequences, let me go fast, that would be epic. Also, third thing I dislike about the MR1 is they cheaped out on the electronics. They only give you a 360 watt power supply, and the stepper drives are like 3 amp stepper drives. And the current power supply is only 36 volts. So if you ever want to upgrade your stepper motors, which I did, you'll instantly find out there's not enough power in the cabinet to do that. So you have to get a bigger power supply. And then you have to get a second power supply for the control board, because that runs at a low voltage, 36 volts. So you need 2 extra power supplies. The wire inside there is like hair thin. So you got to upsize the wire. The plugs in the back don't handle the amperage. You have to update the plugs. That's why I can't sell a stepper motor upgrade, because it's way too involved. So that was number 3. They cheaped out on the electronics. And the fourth thing that I dislike is the fact that I feel like they've just completely abandoned the MR1. I've heard like all these rumors that Langmuir Systems got purchased by some other company. And from everything I've seen, the passion to innovate, I haven't seen it since the new company has bought Langmuir. All I see is a company that wants to milk Langmuir for every cent that they can. You know, I don't see as much feedback in the forums from the guys from Langmuir like we used to. And maybe they're just burnt out because they feel we're getting frustrated, and maybe that frustration comes through, and so the relationship is a little damaged because maybe we've been a little irritable. I don't know. But the MR1 used to get updates, you know? Now it gets none. And, you know, they had all these talk about things that they might do, and they're not doing any of those. I mean, there's been a couple bugs that, you know, they're not going to fix. And it's just like, at first it was like, well, we got to get the Titan out. Once the Titan gets launched and off the ground, you know, we'll come back and, you know, we'll mature the software. They even had a big press release how, you know, their software continues to mature over time. It hasn't. It has literally not. It has stopped. There haven't been any updates for any of their software. I don't even know how many months. And some of the software really need updates. Like, I see people talking about the Titan a lot, and I'm like, I'm not going to buy that machine when I see the lack of support. Like, it's a brand new machine that needs to be matured. Crickets. This is a fairly new machine that needs to be matured. Crickets. The Crossfire, it's pretty dang mature. It's been around forever. That's the model I thought we were going to get with everything else. Crossfire came out. They added, like, you know, then they did the Pro, then they did the Torch Eye controller, then they did limit switches, then they did the XR. I'm getting these all out of order, by the way. But you understand, like, the Crossfire was this evolution of a machine. It started out small. from Mach 3. Then they developed their own software. Then they did the XL, the extension for that. And then they did the Pro, the XR. Like, it was a huge maturing product. What do we get from everything else? Nothing. It's kind of like, what's going on? So that's why I haven't bought a Titan. As much as I want a Titan, I'm like, is this company going out of business or what? Like, I don't know. I'm in the dark, guys. I don't have any special connections to the Langmuir people. I used to talk to some of the guys, but they haven't responded to any of my questions. I don't know if I made them mad or something because I'm too critical. But I'm not trying to be critical. I'm trying to be truthful. Because if I'm not, then what's the point of this whole, what we're doing here, right? So, I don't know. I'm not going to name names, but there were guys there that I used to talk to on Facebook privately that would, reassure some of my concerns about these things. No, it doesn't happen anymore. And maybe it's because I came out with the magnetic torch mount. I talked to them and they had said that they might do that. I waited a whole year. They never did it. So I'm like, clearly it's not coming. I mean, if it didn't come yet, I'm not going to wait around forever to go down the path because I thought they were going to go down it and I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. Maybe I did. When I released the magnetic torch mount for the Pro, maybe that crossed the line. And that's why they don't talk to me anymore. Used to be when something on this would break, somebody would, make sure I had new parts for free. Now they give me a quote. So I don't get anything special, despite me creating constant content, despite tons and tons of you guys, asking me about it and then end up buying a machine. That's just me helping you out. They don't give me anything for that. So I don't know. I've been ranting and raving and rambling for a while now. Let's check any comments. If not, I might head out because I've been wasting a lot of time. Hey, thank you for the 3 likes. You guys are my favorite. A like doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me a ton. So if you're watching, the 11 of you that are watching right now, if you hit the like button, it'll totally help this channel grow. Because YouTube, that's how they gauge the response. So I appreciate you guys. I am going to go ahead and shut this down and get busy because I got a lot of work to do. Thank you for that like. I saw it. How do I turn this off? I'm so bad at live videos. Oh, the X.